Hey friends, welcome to the Rooted class. This one is about being rooted and grounded in love. What does that mean? How do we cultivate that if we don't feel that? And I want to start by asking you a question. Are you safe? Do you feel safe in your body? And just take a moment to think about that. And maybe you don't even need a moment. Maybe you know immediately that you don't feel safe or that you do. How do you feel in the ground of your being? How do you feel in the ground of your being? This safety that we all need and desire often gets compromised as we go throughout our lives. It's a hard reality of being human in this human world. And for some of us, there have been a few instances that shake our ground, and for some of us, there have been many, many instances, maybe even since the time we were young. And so when our solid ground and that ground of our being gets compromised, that's going to affect the rest of our lives. Because if we're not grounded, we're unstable, we're unsteady. And when we're unsteady, we are easily thrown off by circumstances, by things that happen throughout our day, throughout our months, throughout our years. And so the goal in this practice is to remember that you are safe. To remember and to find that place in your body where you do feel safe, where you can feel safe, where you can be grounded. And the amazing thing is that we have a rootedness and a groundedness in love in God that can never be shaken. But we have to remember that, and we have to be reminded, whether it's through a friend or words or sacred text or a song or these practices. We need to daily remember that we do have solid ground, and we need to be cultivating that. So we're going to start with a breath practice here. It's called So we're going to start with a breath practice, and I invite you to just explore with me. Maybe you're new to breath practices or breath work, and if anything is too challenging, just remember to give yourself grace and patience, and there's no pressure here. You can always learn, and some of us really do need to learn how to breathe. Many of us, and most of our culture, breathes from the chest up, and we're not even getting down to the belly. We're not even getting down to the root place. And so part of this practice is learning how to get deeper in our breath, and getting deeper in our breath actually calms the nervous system. It has an effect on our brain, our body, and our whole system. And it can bring down the anxiety, it can bring down the stress, and bring feelings of well-being, safety, and security. So if you would find a comfortable seat, you can cross your legs if you'd like, or you don't have to, but find a seat where you're comfortable and see if you can sit up tall, maybe bringing the shoulders up to the ears and then releasing them. So you're not crunching the shoulders, you're allowing them to relax down the back. And just notice your natural rhythm of your breath here. You don't need to judge it or condemn yourself if it is shallow. That's very normal, especially for people who have been through a lot. We can tend to have shallow breathing, tense breathing, and we're trying to deepen it, making it more full and expansive. So I'd like you to imagine that you have a ribbon tied around the largest part of your rib cage. So you can even use your hands here and bring your hands to the outside of the ribs. And as you breathe, see if you can feel the ribs touching the hands. And if you imagine a ribbon or tie around the whole circumference of your ribs here, when you breathe in, is your breath touching all parts of that ribbon? If it is, you're breathing fully. And if it's not, there's room to grow, there's room to expand and grow in that breath. So that's just one experiment here of noticing and seeing where we are with the breath. And if we're not quite there, breathing fully from the front to the side to the back, that's okay. But we're going to work toward that. And we're going to try breathing deeper into the whole body throughout this time. But for our purposes today, we're just going to come back to that even breathing. So maybe if you can, inhaling through the nose, counting to 3, 4, or 5. And exhaling through the nose, counting to that same number. Do that as many times as you'd like here. If you notice the breath getting stuck in a certain place, just notice that. Notice where that's happening. And if there's any anxiety or anxious feelings or thoughts coming up as you're doing this, just find a way, if you can, to make it more comfortable for yourself. So make it more comfortable in your body. And maybe that is not pushing the breath so much. Maybe that is not going as deep as you want to. Part of this whole process is awareness. It's becoming aware of our body, becoming aware of the breath, taking time to notice, and knowing that it is all connected. Our breath, our body, our thoughts, our emotions, our spiritual state, it is all connected. And that's not to make us feel worried or stressed. That's to help us to realize that noticing even the smallest thing about our breath is a beginning of healing.